So we were called to a job with a MacroAir fan, and the blades were broken off, and we came out to evaluate it and see what could be done. So first step, here we got a picture of it. So this was in a barn near the end, and they have a nice aluminum housing, but they get a lot of side wind, and there was guy wires that somehow or another hooked into it. So the guy wire hooks into the blade, and that kind of breaks the hub. And you can see here the bird wire got a big hole in it. And if we go to the right picture, here's the one from above it. You can see the guy wire got wrapped all up in the fan. I'm not sure which went first, the blade or the guy wire, but till it's all said and done, some of the blades are hanging straight down from their safety cables. The wires are wrapped around. Here we can see, this is a photo right in on the shaft coming out of the gearbox. Cable's in there. It's a little rusty. This fan's probably 10, 15 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. So we came out to see what we can do. The AmeriWind hub, we can go on pretty well any size shaft from 1 inch to 2 inches. And this is a 1 1/4 inch. So we could put another hub on with AmeriWind blades, and this fan could run like new. The only catch is you can see oil on these bolts. That means there's a little bit of oil coming out of the gearbox. And these gearboxes don't have a lot of extra in. If you look close, you can see the fill hole. What I'm afraid of is we put new blades on and that's leaking a little bit, that the oil level is going to continue dropping, and that's what really gets these if the top gears run out of oil, because the shaft is from the motors coming down in the top and the fan blades go out off the bottom. So if the oil comes down, the top gear don't get oil, and you'll take out your top gear so easy if these just get a little bit low in oil. So my recommendation for this situation, here's another shot showing the oil on them. My recommendation is either replace the whole fan or put an elbow on here and a clear pipe and fill it up over full with oil, and that you can watch it, because okay, this thing is 10 years old and it probably has about 1.5 quarts of oil in it. If you go down to 1 quart, you're done. But if you had a way of having a 1/2 quart of reservoir, this thing could go another 30 years. It's just, if you run it just a little bit low, it's going to take out the gears because it's running slowly all the time, and you need something to splash the oil up in there. So if you would add an elbow and a pipe and fill it up with oil, I think you'd be good to go, because a seal that leaks, if you lose 1 quart of oil across a decade, who cares? But as long as there's more coming in after it. So that's my recommendation, is either replace it or add a pipe up the side and add more oil in. I mean, that seems kind of cheap in a way, but this is in a cow barn. It doesn't really matter if it drips some oil. If this was above an airplane, you really wouldn't want it dripping oil down on it. But for the application, I just add more oil, add a way to have oil constantly backfilling so it can leak a tiny bit, because it's actually not leaking much, but if it keeps this up, it'll go out. So that's my recommendation for this fan, is either replace it entirely or add a method of keeping oil in it, and we can easily update the hub to something that is current and works well.